Welcome to this week's episode of Your Stock Request for the 2nd of October. Hi, I'm Michael Gable, Managing Director at Fairmont Equities. Your Stock Request is the weekly video where I take your requests and analyse the share price charts. So this week we have REA Group, Podium Minerals, Kelsian Group, GR Engineering and Frontier Digital. So if you have a request, please send it through. Make sure you've signed up to the free newsletter, but our best recommendations come out on Tuesday in the Dynamic Investor Report. So make sure you're getting that report. But if you do enjoy these videos, we'd love you to share them on social media or even leave us a review. Our main business is in portfolio management. So if you'd like my personal help in managing your portfolio, then please call me, and all the advice here is general only. So we've got the daily chart here of REA going back just a bit over a year, and we can see that for almost a year now, it's essentially been fairly range bound. I mean, not perfectly, a bit of an upside sort of failure there, downside failure, but generally in that range. And at the moment, it's at the bottom of the range. I wouldn't be jumping in necessarily to buy it. I could see that, the range is tightening up. So I think, if you get a break to the upside here, then you could potentially buy it as a trade back up to the top of the range. But this sort of tightening range could also break downwards as well. So it could go either way. Best to wait. Okay, Podium Minerals. So we looked at this one in July. It was sort of rallying back up to basically the major resistance line. So if I switch to the weekly chart, we noticed at the time that it was basically forming a base, sort of hit that resistance line, came back, and we could see last week clearly the buy signal, the breakout of the base, massive volume. So yeah, looks like a buy. Obviously it's jumped up again this week. So yeah, look, it's going to be volatile in the short term. It could ease all the way back here, and the overall chart pattern will still look bullish. So, small position sizes, wide stop, but ultimately I think you've got, if it's breaking out of a base that was in place for that long, it's not going to do just that. It's going to do some much more substantial move. Okay, Kelsian, KLS. So if we just move to the daily chart. So this would have been a clear sort of buy signal here. I mean, it did make a fairly big move on that day, but essentially, there was this very obvious sort of inverse head and shoulders forming, $4 resistance. I mean, even there, just the day before this big move, it broke above resistance on increasing volume. So that could have been the buy signal, but look, it's jumped up and now it's consolidating, so it still looks good. You'd be looking for an upside break for the next buy signal. And interestingly, if I move to the weekly chart, it's right on that downtrend line. So just hugging the underneath of that line, if we could get a breakout, that would be significant because of this line, and then you could end up with a decent move. GR Engineering. So interesting price action here earlier in the year. So if you came in earlier in the year, you'd see, okay, well, it's tested $2.50 on a few occasions, just this sort of sideways range, and obviously an upside break would be a buy signal. So it sort of failed on that first attempt, and then the next break, it stuck. So, rallied a bit, came back to retest it in April, bounced off that. That's perfect. That would have been another buy. And off it went. If we look at the daily chart, we could see sort of nice, sort of smooth sort of trend here. You might have had a trailing stop with a moving average that might have been moving up, sort of like this. So yeah, look, broke that up, broke that sort of shorter term uptrend, but this pullback looks very corrective. So what I mean by that is, a lot of overlapping days. We're not seeing big gaps down or anything crazy, but now this consolidation looks to be over. So we've had sort of a nice move up, sort of solid few days up, good volume, buy signal on the MACD. Yeah, looks like it's ready to head higher again. So, potentially a buy here, and you can just have a tight stop under this low. Finally, Frontier Digitals. So, if we look at the weekly chart, not sort of pretty over the long term. Sort of more shorter term, we could see that, we had this almost like a bit of a trading ranges box here, and it broke up in July, so that would have been the buy signal. Upside break, nice retest, and yeah, rallying nicely since then. If we move to the daily chart, we could see that the past few days it's essentially just traded sideways. So it looks like a nice consolidation, holding in the top half of this big daily range. So essentially, I'd say, well, you could buy it here, and you might have your stop just under these lows here from a few days ago. But it looks like it can head higher. Okay, well, that's all for this week. If you have a request, send it through. We'll try to cover it next Thursday for you.